నమస్కారం. సద్గురు మనతో ఉన్నారు. ఆయన సేవ్ సాయిల్ మూవ్‌మెంట్‌లో ఉన్నారు. ఆయనతో ప్రస్తుతం మనం మాట్లాడదాం. సద్గురు సేవ్ సాయిల్ అనే మూవ్‌మెంట్ తీసుకొని వచ్చారు. దాదాపు ఆల్మోస్ట్ 27, 30 కంట్రీస్ తిరిగారు. ఏంటి అవుట్‌కమ్ ఏమొచ్చింది? 30 కంట్రీస్‌లో మీరు అబ్జర్వ్ చేసిందేంటి? వచ్చిన రెస్పాన్స్ ఏంటి?
The people's response has been spectacular, and the governments have responded very well too, because 74 nations have made declarations that they will take to the safe soil policy already, and work is going on. And the other nations, 197 parties who attended COP15, I have addressed them, and we have prepared unique documents like this, the Safe Soil Handbook, which is a technical handbook for policy making. Depending upon the latitudinal position and the soil type, the economic conditions of a given nation, and also the agricultural traditions of that country. Because why agricultural traditions is, even if you have all the science with you, you cannot change agricultural traditions overnight. So taking these four things into consideration, we prepared 193 documents like this for each nation. So this has been presented to all of them in COP15, and people are studying this to see how to implement. So right now we've reached a point, 74 nations have already declared, others are looking at it. So we have no doubt that the world will move in this way. 3 months ago nobody was even talking about soil. Now the world will definitely move this way. Now our responsibility is only to make sure it moves at the speed that we want, at the pace that we want. So that is going to be the work. Right now already my meetings with Caribbean nations are already fixed up. Their ambassadors are visiting us in the next few days to ascertain how to go about this. And we are also preparing to set up a committee of 25, scientific committee, which will handhold small nations to fulfill this. Incentive-based policies have to be made in every nation, otherwise farmers cannot really go for it. So that is what they need to work out, depending upon their economic conditions, how much they're willing to do. If one wants to turn this around in, let's say, 6 to 8 years' time, the expense is very minimal, every government can afford it. But if they want to turn it around in, let's say, 12 or 24 months, then it'll cost more. So that's a choice they'll have to make.
సో చాలా కంట్రీస్ డిక్లరేషన్ చేస్తున్నాయి. వాట్ అబౌట్ ఇండియా? ఇండియాలో ఈ మూమెంట్ ఎంతవరకు జనాలు రీచ్ అవుతుంది? గవర్నమెంట్ ఎంతవరకు రెడీగా ఉంది?
The central government is 100% with this thing, because already we have spoken to them for the last few months before the movement started. Prime Minister is full on with this. But the important thing is, we need to understand agriculture is on the land. There is no land in the hands of central government, it's all in the states. So till now we have gone through Gujarat, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra and Telangana now. All these 6 states have signed MOUs that they will move in this direction. Clearly every chief minister declaring that they will move in this direction, and they've also signed MOUs. That means we can work with them to see that happens. So we are also talking to all the agriculture universities, agro scientists everywhere, and everybody is on this thing, but somehow till 3-4 months ago nobody was talking anything about soil.
ఓకే, మీరు ఆర్గానిక్ ఫార్మింగ్ అనండి, న్యాచురల్ ఫార్మింగ్ అనండి, ఎంతవరకు రైతులు, ఎస్పెషల్లీ ఫార్మింగ్ చేసేది రైతులు ఎంతవరకు సిద్ధంగా ఉన్నారని చెప్పి అనుకుంటున్నారు?
మేము ఇప్పుడు ఆర్గానిక్ ఫార్మింగ్, న్యాచురల్ ఫార్మింగ్ ఇదంతా నేను చెప్పలేదండి. ఎలాంటి ఫార్మింగ్ చేయాలనేది రైతుడు డిసైడ్ చేయాలి. ఇది సిటీలో ఉండేవాళ్ళంతా ఆర్గానిక్ ఫార్మింగ్, న్యాచురల్ ఫార్మింగ్ ఏమేమో చెప్పుకుంటారు. ఎందుకంటే వాళ్ళకి ఫార్మింగ్ అంటే ఏంటి అని తెలియలేదు. ముఖ్యంగా ఇప్పుడు ఫర్టిలైజర్ వేయకూడదు, యూజ్ చేయకూడదు, పెస్టిసైడ్ యూజ్ చేయకూడదు అని ఇక్కడ సిటీలో కూర్చొని చెప్తారు. మీరు ఏ ఫర్టిలైజరు, పెస్టిసైడ్ యూజ్ చేయలేంటే ఇప్పుడు మన దేశంలో మట్టుం కాదు, ప్రపంచంలో యూజ్ చేయలేంటే మన ఫుడ్ ప్రొడక్షన్ 25% అయిపోతుందండి. దట్ విల్ బి ఎ డిజాస్టర్. మనం ముఖ్యంగా ఈ ఆర్గానిక్ కాంటెంట్ సాయిల్లో ఇంక్రీజ్ చేయాలి, బయో యాక్టివిటీ ఇంక్రీజ్ చేయాలి. ఇది పైగా రాగా మనకేమవుతుందంటే ఫర్టిలైజర్ రిక్వైర్మెంట్ విల్ స్టార్ట్ గోయింగ్ డౌన్.
ఎలా పైకి తీసుకొస్తారు? అంటే ఈ మీరు చెప్తున్న ఈ బయో దీన్ని ఎట్లా ఇంప్రూవ్ చేయడానికి అవకాశం ఉంది?
మెయిన్లీ ఈ ఆర్గానిక్ కాంటెంట్ అంటే రెండు సోర్స్ ఉందండి. వేరే ఏంటి టెక్నాలజీ లేదు. టెక్నాలజీస్ ఆర్ దేర్ టు ఎన్హాన్స్ అప్లికేషన్. బట్ ముఖ్యంగా ప్లాంట్ లైఫ్, యానిమల్ లైఫ్ అంతే. దీంట్లో మన భూమిలో మట్టు కాదు, పూరా ఈ ప్రపంచంలో ఓన్లీ ప్లాంట్ లైఫ్, యానిమల్ లైఫ్ ఆర్ ద ఓన్లీ 2 ways ఫర్ ఆర్గానిక్ కాంటెంట్. దే హ్యావ్ టు కమ్ బ్యాక్ ఆన్ ద ల్యాండ్. ఇప్పుడు ఫామ్లో మేము మనకేమంటే మోనోక్రాప్ పెట్టాము, అంతా మోనోక్రాప్. ఇక్కడ when the crop comes, you're taking everything. Nothing is going back into the land. So there has to be some amount of plant life and animal life to put the organic content back. ఇది చేయాలంటే there is no organic content. In 30-40 years time, all lands in the world will die.
సో జనరల్గా ఫార్మర్ పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ వ్యూలో చూస్తే అంటే యు ఆర్ మేకింగ్ అంటే సేవ్ సాయిల్ పేరుతో భూమిని రక్షించాలి, మట్టిని రక్షించాలి అంటున్నారు. కానీ ఫార్మర్ దగ్గర మెజారిటీ ల్యాండ్ బ్యాంక్ ఫార్మర్ దగ్గర ఉంది. ఫార్మర్కి ఇన్వెస్ట్ చేయడానికి అంటే పంట వేయటానికి వాడి దగ్గర డబ్బులు లేవు.
No, this is an incentive based this thing. This is why there are 3-pronged incentive basis. First incentive is from the government. Right now, on an average, India's organic content is 0.68%. That means we are under desertification. Below 1%. 1% కింద ఉంటే ఇది డెజర్టిఫికేషన్ అని చెప్తారు. మనము 0.68లో ఉన్నాం యావరేజ్గా. 60% ఆఫ్ ద ల్యాండ్ బిలో 0.5 ఉంది ఇప్పుడు. సో వీఆర్ ఆన్ ద వర్జ్ ఆఫ్ డెజర్టిఫికేషన్ విత్ 1.3 billion population. We are going like this as if there is no tomorrow. So the important thing is we have to turn this around. So governments have to set up an incentive. If you get this to 3%, which is the minimum most, if you get this to 3%, you will get a certain amount of incentive. That incentive can be formed in different ways in terms of money, in terms of subsidies for various inputs in the agriculture. Government can frame its own thing, it's a finance ministry's job, how they frame it. But the incentive should be attractive enough for everybody to go towards it.
Okay.
In this farming, this thing, there are 2 categories of people. There are small and medium farmers, which account for 84.2% of the farmers in the country. That is below 5 acres. But all of them together are plowing approximately 47.6% of the agricultural land. They will be the easiest ones to do because they will go for small incentives. Even if you give small incentives per year, for them it will be attractive. So how the government frames it is up to them, but the important thing is they must set up an incentive which is attractive enough for everybody to go. Once that happens, there is something called as carbon credit scheme in the world, carbon credit market. Right now the carbon credit market is very industry oriented. Farmer cannot even access it. We've been trying for 7 years to get it for farmers. We have not even 1 inch of progress has not happened. So it has to be made simple. Simple means like this. See, in an industry, let us say some industry is going on, you can go and measure the carbon emission in the chimney and say, okay, to take this off, what you should do, there are easy calculations. But land is not like that. When the sun is coming up, it will be one way, in the afternoon it will be another way, if there is rain it will be another way, depending on humidity, what is coming out and what is going into the soil is very different. Nobody can measure it 100%. But government has to come up with a thumb rule, because generally there is information in the scientific community, if organic content is 3% plus, how much sequestration will happen. That we must make a thumb rule. It may not be perfect, but if you make it 3%, you get this much carbon credit. Right now in United States, they're talking about approximately $80 to $100 per acre. If that kind of incentive comes to our farmers, because carbon credit is international, you can't do it in rupees, it will only be thought of in dollars. So that is the second level of incentive. Third level of incentive is in the marketplace, it must be recognized. Right now, if you go to the marketplace, they are saying this, let's say this mango is organic. What is other mango? Is it inorganic? Is there such a thing? There is no such thing. So organic has just become a marketing term without any meaning, without specifying exactly what is there in it. If we change this branding to 3% organic content field From there a mango is coming means we know what are the micronutrients present in it, we know what are the health benefits out of it, what are the preventive health benefits, what are the mandates gained because of this for the state, and more healthy populations means how much more productivity, creativity will happen in the state. All this can be measured because this data is already there for us. Now suppose my field is 6% organic content, my mango will sit on a higher shelf. So these three levels of incentive must be there: government incentive, carbon credit, and then the marketplace, it must be recognized. So if these three happen, farmers will definitely go for it. This is what essentially this is skeleton of the soil
సో
policy.
మీరు చెప్పిన దాంట్లో మళ్ళీ అగైన్ నేను ఒక చిన్న పాయింట్ క్లారిఫై కావాలి. 82% మీ స్మాల్ అండ్ మీడియం ఫార్మర్స్ దగ్గర ల్యాండ్ ఉందండి. సో యువర్ అటెన్షన్ అండ్ ఫోకస్ ఆన్ స్మాల్ అండ్ మీడియం స్కేల్ ఫార్మర్స్ ఆర్ పాలసీ మేకింగ్ తయారు చేయటమా, లేదనుకుంటే కార్పొరేట్ అగ్రికల్చర్ ఎవరైతే చేస్తున్నారో వాళ్ళ మీద అటెన్షన్ పెట్టడమా? ఎవరు ప్రధానమైన అటెన్షన్ కావాల్సి ఉంది? మీరు ఎవరి మీద ఫోకస్ పెడుతున్నారు?
This is something finance ministry has to decide depending on how much they're willing to invest. I only said small and medium farmers will be easy because they are a low-hanging fruit. If you want to go for larger farmers, your incentive levels have to be bigger, otherwise they may not go for it. But at the same time, for small and medium farmers, you can make it incentive-based. But for larger farmers, if they're over 1,000 acres or something like that, you can make it just the law. In the next 5 years, everybody must be 3% organic content, you can just do that.
యా, గవర్నమెంట్ ఇప్పుడు ఆల్రెడీ సెంట్రల్ గవర్నమెంట్, స్టేట్ గవర్నమెంట్స్ రైతులకి ఇన్సెంటివ్స్ ఇస్తున్నాయి. సో అగ్రికల్చర్ చేయటం 6,000 to 12,000 వరకు ఈచ్ గవర్నమెంట్ డిఫరెంట్ లెవెల్స్లో ఇస్తుంది. సో దట్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ ఇన్వెస్ట్మెంట్ కావాలని చెప్పి అంటున్నారా, లేదు అనుకుంటే వేరే రూపంలో వెళ్ళాల్సిన?
Those things are there, but they are not result-oriented. You're just giving for economic purposes. So a farmer is poor, okay, give him money. I don't think that is in the longer run. If there is a bad year and you gave some money for the farmer, that's different. And the longer run, just distributing money to the people is not going to help, and it's going to destroy the work culture of the nation in many ways. This year there was a bad agricultural year for whatever reasons, this year you gave some money, that's a different matter. Because farmers' economy is such, it's so fragile, if you touch it, it'll collapse. The only way is to boost it with incentives, but incentives must be result-oriented.
ఇన్సెంటివ్స్ విత్ టార్గెట్ ఏరియాస్ ఐడెంటిఫై చేసి రిజల్ట్ ఓరియంటెడ్గా చేయాల్సిన అవసరం ఉందంట. సో ఐడెంటిఫై చేయాల్సింది ఇది గవర్నమెంట్ అంటారు.
See, identification has already happened because the organic content in the country is extremely low. Average organic content is 0.68%, which is desertification levels. So there is nothing more to identify, it's already there. Right now our problem is we are looking at soil as an inert substance. Let us add nitrogen, let us add phosphate, all that is fine, but what we need to understand is soil is the largest living system. This is why in our culture we call this as the mother, because it's living and we all come out of it, not just the food that we eat. It's not only about food that we eat. The microbes are actually micro-human beings, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Because they are the ones who have created us. Even today, within our body, 60% of our body is actually microbial life, only 40% is parental genetics in terms of numbers. So, what is happening in the soil is happening in our body. If it doesn't happen, there is no way you can live here.
శ్రీలంక ఆర్గానిక్ ఫార్మింగ్ అని చెప్పి ఎంటైర్ ఫైనాన్షియల్ క్రైసిస్లోకి వెళ్ళిపోయింది మనం చూస్తూ ఉన్నాం. సో మీ సేవ్ సాయిల్ మూవ్మెంట్ కూడా ఆర్గానిక్, సరే మీరు అంటున్నారు 1% బిలో ఉంది, 3% అప్ టు 9% వరకు వెళ్ళినా ఏం కాదు అని అంటున్నారు. కానీ శ్రీలంక ఎగ్జాంపుల్ చూసిన తర్వాత చాలామంది భయపడే అవకాశం లేదా?
See, this is exactly what I said. That is why I am saying people who are sitting in cities, urban centers, don't talk about how farming should be done. These are just words without meaning. You say organic farming. What does it mean? No pesticide, no fertilizer, I told you, food production will just come down like that, it will be the worst disaster. Sri Lanka has suffered already, but this is inevitably going to happen. I've been speaking about this for years. You cannot suddenly take out the fertilizer. Without fertilizer and pesticide usage, you and me as a generation wouldn't be alive, because India was infested with famines. Famines and famines, every 2-3 years there were terrible famines. So today we have mastered that to some extent because of this green revolution that we did. Is it the best way to do it? but those were emergency measures. So green revolution was an emergency measure, a bridge to cross the famine situation. If you get onto your bridge, somewhere you have to get down. If you stay on the bridge forever, it becomes a bridge to nowhere. So right now, as time has come to slowly get down, I'm saying slowly means very slowly, don't talk about fertilizer and pesticide. Talk about enhancing the richness of the soil. If the soil is rich, pesticide usage will come down. People have this funny idea that farmer likes to use fertilizer. He doesn't like to use it because it costs money. If you don't use it, there will be no crop.
కానీ ఫెర్టిలైజర్ యూజ్ చేస్తే ప్రొడక్టివిటీ పెరుగుతుంది.
That's what I'm saying. If you don't use it, there will be no crop. That's why he's using it. But urban people think farmer just likes to use fertilizer, simply he likes to throw it. No, it costs a lot of money. Why would you like to throw it?
ఓకే, సేవ్ సాయిల్ మూవ్మెంట్ మీరు అంటున్నారు అర్బన్లో కూర్చొని ఇవన్నీ మాట్లాడుతున్నారు. సేవ్ సాయిల్ మూవ్మెంట్ ఈజ్ అర్బన్ మూవ్మెంట్, ఈజ్ ద రూరల్ మూవ్మెంట్?
See, urban people also eat food, so they have a responsibility. And urban people have much larger voice than the rural people everywhere in the world. So their voice is very important. They should not… everybody asks me, Sadhguru, what shall I do today? I want to go home and do something. Don't do anything, just enhance the message. Because right now, if you want the policies to happen, the voice of the people must rise. Because there is no mandate for the governments, they won't do it. Governments are not elected to do fantastic things. Governments are elected to fulfill people's mandate. Where is the mandate? They're only asking, I want 2 rupees discount in petrol price, 1% discount in my income tax, they're getting those kind of things. But never have we stood up, 60% of the population, have they ever stood up and expressed long-term well-being of the nation should be taken care of, our children's future must be assured. Is there any talk like that? It's time to do that.
సో అర్బన్ మీరు ఏదైతే వాయిస్ ఉన్న అర్బన్ పాపులేషన్తో పాటు రూరల్ ఫార్మర్స్ కూడా దీని గురించి అవేర్నెస్ తీసుకురావాల్సిన అవసరం ఉందా? తీసుకురావాలంటే
It's
ఎవరు
not
చేయాలి?
necessary, policy should come. See, don't try to teach and preach the farmer. Just give him the as necessary incentive, he will go for it.
కానీ పాలసీస్ రీసెంట్గా సరే దీని రిలేటెడ్ పాలసీస్ కాకపోవచ్చు, వేరే పాలసీస్ వచ్చినప్పుడు దేశం మొత్తం పెద్ద మూవ్మెంట్ రావటం చూసాం. లైక్ దట్ పాలసీ డైరెక్ట్గా అర్బన్ పీపుల్ వాయిసెస్తో గవర్నమెంట్ పాలసీ తీసుకొస్తే ఫార్మర్స్ దగ్గర నుంచి రియాక్షన్ ఎట్లా వస్తుందో ఎక్స్పెక్ట్ చేయగలుగుతాం?
See, there is a difference between a punitive policy and an incentive-based policy. Why will anybody react to an incentive? If you make punitive policies, they will react. As I said, farmers' economy is so fragile. People don't understand, one thing fails, he has to die. This is the condition. So when this is the condition, you don't try to say, do this, don't do this. Just tell him, if you do this, I'll give you this much money. He will do it.
సో మీరు ఆల్రెడీ కొంత దాని మీద వర్క్ చేశాను అంటున్నారు. గవర్నమెంట్కి ఏమైనా పాలసీ సబ్మిట్ చేసే ఆలోచన?
Yes, this policy handbook this is for India, what we have made. It's over 500 pages, now we have given it to the central government and to every state we are giving it as we go, but after this journey is over, we are distributing it for all the 28 states and our teams will work with them. And there are scientists who will work with them. And this is not something that they are not at all aware of. They are aware of it. But they have not done it because there is no people's mandate.
ఓకే, సో మన దగ్గర ఇండియా లాంటి కంట్రీస్లో స్టేట్స్లో కానీ సెంటర్లో కానీ పాలిటిక్స్ డామినేట్ చేస్తాయి. పాలిటిక్స్ డామినేట్ చేసినప్పుడు ఇట్లా ఫార్మర్ ఫ్రెండ్లీ లేకపోతే మీలాంటి వాళ్ళు తీసుకొచ్చిన మూమెంటు లేదు అనుకుంటే ఈ పాలసీస్ గవర్నమెంట్ ఎంతవరకు ఇనిషియేట్ చేయడానికి స్కోప్ కనిపిస్తూ ఉంది?
See, nearly 60% of the country's population are farmers. Anything that's incentive-based for the farmer is also good for their politics. I understand, after all, they have to win their elections. Now, the job is like this, you give them a term of 5 years. So they are trying to do everything within those 5 years because they want results to happen within 5 years and they must be re-elected. This is the nature of the democratic governments everywhere in the world, not just in this country. Now if you want to do something which will bear fruit in 10, 15, 20 years' time, why will they do it? Unless people say so. Unless they see people are with them, they'll not go for it. It is the experience of many state governments in this country, whenever they took long-term steps, they lost the elections.
ఓకే, మీరేమైనా డిమాండ్ చేయగలుగుతారా గవర్నమెంట్స్కి ఒక ఫండ్ స్పెసిఫిక్గా సేవ్ సాయిల్ లేకపోతే మీరు చెప్తున్న ఆర్గానిక్ ఫార్మింగ్, న్యాచురల్ ఫార్మింగ్ దీనికి సంబంధించి స్పెసిఫిక్ ఫండ్ అలాట్ కావాలని అలాట్ చేయాలి?
It is not necessary, it is very much… there is enough room within the current economy. I don't want to quote all the numbers, but within the current economic situation, there is enough scope to give incentives for raising organic content. There are a lot of incentives without goals. If you convert all of them into goal-based incentives, it will definitely happen.
ఓకే 3% ఆర్గానిక్ కంటెంట్ పెంచడం కోసం ఎంత డబ్బులు స్పెండ్ చేయాల్సిన ఇన్సెంటివ్స్ స్పెండ్
See,
చేయాల్సిన
the
అవసరం?
simplest way is this. If you don't mind waiting for 6 to 8 years, right now, if you fly across, rains are coming maybe in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, things have changed a little bit. But in the summer months, if you fly from Delhi to Chennai, let's say, you will see a brown desert. This was not the case of this country 50 years ago. In summer months, everybody had a cover crop. They've just lost that tradition. Forever we had cover crops. To protect the land, we put crops of legumes, pulses and things like that, and we plowed it back. If you do this, 1.5 to 2 inches of humus goes into the soil every year. To do this, it just takes 450 to 600 rupees per acre to give seed for cover crop. This is country seed which is very strong. You don't need hybrid seeds and all this. Strong seeds which are of pulses and legumes and other things, which will change the quality of the soil itself. You just have to plow that whole thing back, which was the normal tradition in this country. To do this, it just costs 450 to 600 rupees. Every government can afford this, but it'll take 6 to 8 years to get to 3%. But if you want to do it in 2 years, 3 years, you will have to spend more money.
ఓకే సద్గురు మీరు పీపుల్స్ రెస్పాన్సిబిలిటీ పీపుల్స్ మోటివేషన్ ఇవన్నీ చేసేవాళ్ళు ఈ ఫార్మర్ సోల్ ఈ మూమెంట్స్లోకి ఇప్పుడు యాక్టివ్గా రావడానికి ఈజ్ దర్ ఎనీ రీజన్?
See, it's not today, I've been talking about this for 30 years.
Yeah.
But people are sleeping on it. Right now, I thought before I get too old and no good for anything, I must do something to awaken the world. Fortunately, as of 4 days ago, our social media metrics is saying 2.8 billion people have spoken about soil since March 21st, which has never happened before. Our goal is 3.6 billion people. I think we will get there within the next 2 to 3 weeks' time.
ఓకే సో ఇండియాలో ఎంతమంది సేవ్ సాయిల్ మీద?
We still don't have that metrics because India started only about 15 days ago. But it's a global metrics that we are getting from the social media platforms.
ఓకే సేవ్ సాయిల్ నుంచి లిటిల్ బిట్ ఒక 5 minutes సో ఎండ్ ఆఫ్ ద ఇంటర్వ్యూలో సో రెస్పాన్సిబిలిటీ గురించి మీరు సద్గురు ఎక్కువ చెప్తూ ఉంటారు. ఇండియాలో ఇప్పుడు రెస్పాన్సిబిలిటీ ఎంత ప్రాపర్గా ఉంటుంది? ఎస్పెషల్లీ హిందుత్వ ఇష్యూలో వచ్చేసరికి ప్రతి వాళ్ళు చాలా అగ్రెసివ్ అయిపోతున్నారు. చిన్నపిల్లలు కూడా భక్తి అంటే ఏంటో ఆధ్యాత్మికత అంటే ఏంటో తెలియని వాళ్ళు కూడా వాళ్ళ గాడ్స్ నేమ్ పెట్టుకొని నేమ్ని స్లోగన్స్గా పెడుతూ ఇష్టానుసారం కొంచెం బాధ్యత మరిచి వెళ్తున్నారు. వాళ్ళకి బాధ్యత చెప్పాల్సిన అవసరం ఏమైనా కనిపిస్తుందా?
See, this goes for everybody. If you aim at any one community, then obviously it will not work. This should go for everybody. Your religion is your private thing. You practice in your home. What I do with myself is nobody's business. This is what a democratic nation and a secular nation is supposed to be. But right now, you try to tell me how I should be. You try to impose your stuff on me in so many different ways. Then there will be naturally conflict. Apart from that, there are historical wounds. You must see that you don't scratch the wounds, you just leave it for some time to heal, because there are historical wounds of invasions, there is a wound of partition, there are pains in people, because even today some of those people from those times are still alive. So there are wounds. When there are wounds, national wounds like this, we must have the sense and wisdom to allow them to heal, not every day keep scratching them. Small-time politicians are always scratching them because otherwise they have no relevance. So, scratching these wounds must stop, and laws must be a little more stringent that whoever does those things must pay for it.
సో మీరు సేవ్ సాయిల్ లాంటి మూమెంట్స్ తీసుకొస్తున్నారు బికాజ్ యూ ఫీల్ సమ్ రెస్పాన్సిబిలిటీ పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ వ్యూ. కానీ దేశం ఇప్పుడు సేవ్ సాయిల్ లాంటి మూమెంట్స్ కావాలనుకుంటుందా, లేదంటే దిస్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ ద్వేషం మతం పేరుతో ద్వేషం వాళ్ళకి రెస్పాన్సిబిలిటీ చెప్పాల్సిన బాధ్యత?
This dvesham is largely present on the television channels only, not on the ground. You walk through Hyderabad city, you will not see any dvesham today. There may be a few people.
సమాజంలో ఉన్నదే టెలివిజన్ ఛానల్ రిఫ్లెక్ట్ చేస్తాయి. ఈ దేశంలో నుపూర్ ఇన్సిడెంట్ తర్వాత, నుపూర్ మాట్లాడిన తర్వాత దేశం ఏ స్థాయిలో ఇన్సిడెంట్ జరిగినాయో మీకు తెలిసే ఉంటుంది. సో ఈ టెలివిజన్ ఛానల్స్ కంటే బయట ఎక్కువ జరిగింది.
No, what I'm saying is, what is happening outside is a small group of people. If I throw stones at your home, why am I on the national television? Local sub-inspector should handle me, isn't it? So anybody who does small things like this, you put them up as heroes in the national channel, then that'll become the culture. We are trying to make that the culture. What about all these crores of people who never threw a stone at anybody, irrespective of their religion, irrespective of their caste or creed, who are trying to make their lives? When human beings make their life good, they also make nation's life good. What about them? Why are they not reported ever? Anyway, media has to report what is there, that's a different matter. I am talking about not news reporting, endless debates about this as if that is the only thing that's happening in the country. Now, what I am saying is, as human beings, we have found so many ways to differentiate between one and the other. Our caste, our creed, our language, our political philosophy, religion, race, in the world if you go, nationality. But when all these divisions you have found, should you also not search for what unifies us? Soil is that. We come from soil, we thrive off soil, when we die we go back to soil. Only choice you have is, will you understand this now or will you understand this only when you're buried?
యా ఈ హేట్ స్పీచ్ ఏదైతే ఉందో, హేట్ స్పీచ్ వల్ల బయట కంట్రీస్, ఎస్పెషల్లీ నుప్పూర్ ఇన్సిడెంట్ తర్వాత అరబ్ కంట్రీస్ కూడా ఇండియా మీద ప్రెజర్ చేయాల్సిన పరిస్థితి వచ్చి ప్రెజర్ చేస్తున్నాయి. ఇండియా సమాధానం చెప్పుకోవాల్సిన పరిస్థితి వచ్చింది. ఇది మనకి ఇబ్బంది కలిగించేది కదా, ఇండియా లాంటి కంట్రీస్, మీరు ప్రపంచం అంతా తిరుగుతూ ఉంటారు కాబట్టి చెప్పండి.
See, it is unnecessary to get into these kind of situations internationally, for sure. But at the same time, we are a democratic nation, people can speak. On a television, people can speak. There need not be such a violent reaction to that. This reaction is organized by somebody, so it goes like this. Otherwise, if there is abuse of somebody's religion or whatever, that's different. Somebody makes a comment, you can debate it, you can see whether it's true or false and arrive at it. Because I was traveling, I am not fully aware of exactly what was said, I've never heard that statement, whatever was said. But people found it offensive for whatever reason, I do not know the detail of it. So without knowing the detail, I don't want to comment about the statement, but it offended people for whatever reason. So one important thing is, so you must put in your television channel, you must put what can be said, what cannot be said. If you start talking and every television channel is handling arguments in such a heated way, when you're talking in such a heated way, you may end up saying something. For this, there need not be national and international reaction, in my opinion, whatever it was. I do not know what was said. If there was any direct abuse, then of course they must be disciplined.
ఓకే, మీ స్పీచెస్ చాలా మోటివేటెడ్గా ఉంటాయి, చాలా మందిని మోటివేట్ చేసినాయి. నేను అంటున్నా, ఇట్లా హేట్ స్పీచ్ చేసేవాళ్ళు కానీ, లేకపోతే హేట్ స్పీచ్ విని, లేకపోతే టెలివిజన్ డిబేట్స్లో చూసి, లేదంటే బయట వేరే రకరకాలుగా సోషల్ మీడియాలో సర్క్యులేట్ అవుతున్నాయి చూసి ఎవరైతే హైపర్ అవుతున్నారు వాళ్ళందరికీ మీరు ఎందుకు మోటివేట్ చేయరు? వాళ్ళందరికీ ఎందుకు జ్ఞానం బోధించాలి?
అందుకే అండి ఇప్పుడు TV9లో మట్టి రక్షించండి అని చెప్తున్నాం కదా. ఎందుకంటే మట్టి ఎప్పుడు మీ మనసులో వస్తుంది, మీరు ఏ మతం ఉన్నానో అదే మట్టిలోనే వచ్చారు, దానికి తానే పోతారు. So this is important that we all come from the same soil, go back to the same soil. Will we realize this now or will we only realize when we are buried? This is a choice we have. So let us not go on talking about differences. There are many differences between people. That is the beauty of this land, that we are a kaleidoscope of people, not one kind of people. We don't speak the same language, we don't worship the same gods. Even among Hindus, each home has their own gods, dozens of gods, all right? So we never looked for sameness. Sameness is not our way of doing things. Everything is different and is fine with us.
Okay.
But now certain points of commonality is needed. Soil is definitely that. If you bring soil in as a big theme in your television channel, people will start thinking about sameness.
అందుకే మీ ఇంటర్వ్యూ చేస్తున్నది, మీ మూమెంట్కి కూడా సపోర్ట్ ఇస్తుంది. ఫైనల్ 2 questions. నేను భక్తి గురించి మాట్లాడుతాను. భక్తి అనేది ఈ రోజుల్లో పేదవాడికి దూరం అవుతుంది, ధనికుడికి మరింత అది చాలా దగ్గర అవుతుంది, ప్లస్ వాళ్ళకి బాగా యూజ్ అవుతుంది అని ఒక డిస్కషన్ వస్తుంది. యాజ్ ఎ గురు మీరేం చెప్తారు?
See, devotion is the sweetest way to be. What devotion means is, you have an unconditional love affair with something, whatever it is. If you have a love affair with somebody, lot of anxiety, what that person will do. Now you have a love affair with somebody where there is no such issue. Once you are in an unconditional love affair, your life will become very sweet, very beautiful. When you are feeling very sweet, you are naturally sweet to everybody around you. Whenever you're very happy, you're very nice to people around you. When you're unhappy, you could be nasty to people around you. This is a common thing for every human being. So, devotion is about keeping the emotional aspect of your life always sweet. Who can be against it? It's got nothing to do with money and no money.
ఇదివరకు టెంపుల్కి అందరూ వెళ్ళేవాళ్ళు, సో కామనాలిటీ ఉండే.
See, devotion and going to temple is not the same thing. Devotion is in your heart. Whether you want to go to the temple or not is left to you.
సో గురువులు, పీఠాధిపతులు వీళ్ళు వచ్చిన తర్వాత కొంచెం భక్తి కమర్షియలైజ్ అయింది అని అంటానికి ఒప్పుకుంటారా?
I don't know what is commercial. See, right now people say if you put up a hoarding like this, they say, oh, he's getting commercial. Okay, I will remove this. How do you convey the message, tell me? Oh, why should you convey the message? Well, the message is very important, that's why it needs to be conveyed. So these judgments are being made by people. You must understand, the ancient gurus in this land were always sponsored by the kings. When the king saw a guru is doing something valuable, he made sure everything is taken care of for him. Who is there to take care of it for you today? You have to somehow generate your own funds. If you have to generate your own funds, you have to do certain things. Or anything that you do, you say is commercial. What's wrong with commerce, I'm asking? If somebody is doing robbery, that's different. What is wrong with commerce? If you want to buy, you buy. If you don't want to buy, don't buy. Isn't it a fair way of dealing with the world? If commerce is wrong, please stop it in the entire world.
ఓకే, ఫైనల్గా సద్గురు TV9 ప్రేక్షకులకి, తెలుగు పీపుల్కి మీరు ఏం చెప్పదలుచుకున్నారు? ఫైనల్ అండ్ అప్పీల్.
మట్టి రక్షించండి.
తెలుగు బాగా మాట్లాడుతున్నారు, మట్టి రక్షించాలని మీరు చేస్తున్న మూమెంట్ సక్సెస్ కావాలనుకున్నాను. థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్.
నమస్కారం.
నమస్కారం.